This is the game called Devil's Dueling Dice. You are wizards trying to fight over who will summon a creature to end the world. And each dice has their own meaning within creatures and other things, but we'll get into that. To set up the game, you'll need about 50 dice, and each player has to create a set of dice equal to 64 points. For example, you can use 2d20s, 2d6,
No.
So currently, this is 20 points, this is 20 points, so this is a total of 40 points. Each of these are worth 6 points, and the point value is based off the max roll. So we are currently at 52 points.
and to finish that off, we can add in 2 more d6 to get the total of 64. There's tons and tons of combinations. However, to limit the combinations and make things fair, you can only have a certain amount of each dice. So, for d6s, you can only have 4. For d4s, you can only have 6. d8s, you can only have 3 of. d10s and d12s, you can only have 2 of. Overall, the point limit, though, it is 24 points per type of die. So, 4 d6s equals 24. 64s is 24. 3 d8s is 24. 2 d10s is 20, but you can't add a third one because that would be going over 24. And 2 d12s are 24. The only exception to the rule are 2 d20s and the d30. And for the d30, you can only have 1 of. Now,
And the D20 you can only have 2.
oh, and the d20 you can only have 2 of.
You got that.
So, for hands, I will take this, and Seth will create a hand. Okay, so we each have our die. So, to start off the game, we have to roll. Okay, so I have 6 die, and he also has 6 die.
I have 5 die, actually.
Oh, 5 die. Oh, miscount. So, perfect example. So, for choosing which dice you have to do for your score, you always pick your largest numbers, and you take half of your total amount of die. So, for this, I would take my 14, my 5, which, since there are no odd numbers in the game, it goes to a 6. And then I shall take my 4, because rest is not very good. So you take half your total amount of die. Now for Seth, he has an odd number, so he would take 2 of his 5. You take half and round down. So Seth would have those 2. So that is Seth's number, and this is my number. So, in total, I have 24, and Seth has 18.
16. It is a
16.
6.
Oh, sorry. Correction, that is a 6. Yep, there we go. So, it is 16 and 24. So that is an 8-point difference. So I win this, and so Seth must lose 8 points from his overall total of die. So he could lose his d8, or he could shrink down one of his d20s into
2d6 or a d12.
Yep. And you continuously do this until one of you runs out of all options of dice and forfeits the game or is completely destroyed.
We're doing rerolls.
Yeah. For the actual matches, you can re-roll against a thing. So let's say I have a 20, a 6, and a 4, so that's 30 points, and Seth he misses it by like 2 points. So he would have a 28 in that matter. So Seth would have 28, and so he has an option to re-roll. So he could gather up all of his die and roll again. But there is a catch. If you do not make the re-roll, you suffer double the amount of points loss than if you would. So he would have lost only 2. Now he loses 4. If you make the re-roll, which you have to get higher than the original total, not tying, you negate all damage and you're safe for that round. When it comes to multiple people, the first player is always safe. Second player minuses the difference between their score and the first player's to their overall total. The third player minuses his difference to the second player. So if I had 30 and Seth had 24 and another player had 12, Seth would only lose 6 points. However, the other player would have to lose 12 points since Seth has 24 and that player has 12. There is another catch to it. If your overall number between your highest and your lowest, so let's say you have a hand built of
Quite a number of
D4 and D8s and D6. Your protection number would be 4 plus 8, so that's 12. And say Seth over there only gets the 12 and I got 24. I got his number, or say I got 26 and he got 12. That's over his number. Seth would lose an additional D4 to whatever damage he already takes.
Is that how tiebreakers work?
So, for example, if this was Jordan's roll, and this was my roll, I lose by more than the total of my highest die plus my lowest die, which is 12 in this case. So I would lose what I would normally lose plus my lowest die.
So he would lose one of his D4s.
In addition to the actual penalty itself.
In a case of a tie for first place, so let's say Seth and I both had one D20 and one D8, and we both got 24. Both have 24. We would have to roll a remaining amount of die, and whoever had the largest number would win. And so I would have to lose my lowest die. So in this case, I have D6s and he has D4s. I lost, so I would lose one of my D6s. In the case of a tie for any other place, so if Seth and another player tied with 24 points and I got 30, they would both lose 6. And the player underneath would have to deal with that.
Right? It's 3 o'clock.
Yeah, we should be uploading.
Word up.
I mean, but ours isn't really...
Upload time. Anyway, that's our game.